I went to the doctor for a routine checkup. Everything seemed normal, but when I got home and opened my purse, I found a note hidden inside. It was from Dr. Harrison, written in shaky handwriting. Run from your family now. You're being poisoned. Don't eat anything at home. Come back tomorrow alone. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely hold the paper. What did he know that I didn't? Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And if this story touches your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories. My name is Catherine Cooper, and I'm 62 years old. This story begins with a routine doctor's appointment, but really it starts much earlier. It starts with trust, with love that became manipulation, and with a daughter who saw her mother as an obstacle rather than a person. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the beginning. I've lived in Portland, Oregon my entire life. I was born here, raised here, married here, and raised my own daughter here. My husband Thomas died 7 years ago from a sudden heart attack. One day he was fine, laughing at something on TV, and the next morning I woke up to find him cold beside me. His death devastated me. We'd been married for 32 years. He was my best friend, my partner, my everything. For months after his death, I couldn't function. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't see the point in continuing. But I had to keep going. For our daughter Ellen, who was 33 at the time and going through her own grief, Ellen had always been a daddy's girl. She adored Thomas. When he died, she fell apart almost as badly as I did. She moved back home for a while, and we grieved together. We supported each other, or so I thought. After Thomas died, I inherited everything. Our house, which was paid off, his life insurance policy, which was substantial, about $500,000, his retirement accounts and investment. Thomas had been meticulous about financial planning. He'd always said he wanted to make sure I'd be taken care of if anything happened to him. The money sat in accounts untouched. I didn't need it immediately. I had my own small pension from years of working as a school librarian, plus Social Security. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough for me to live simply and comfortably. Ellen, however, struggled financially. She'd gone to expensive private colleges, accumulated student debt, and then bounced from job to job, never quite finding her footing. She'd married young to a man named Derek, who turned out to be emotionally abusive and controlling. They divorced after 3 years, and Ellen came out of it traumatized and broke. I helped her when I could, paid off some of her debt, helped with rent when she was between jobs, bought her a used car when hers died. I was her mother. It's what mothers do. But about a year and a half ago, things started to change. Ellen met someone new, a man named Marcus. He was in his 40s, divorced, worked in finance. He seemed charming at first, always well-dressed, articulate, confident, but there was something about him that made me uncomfortable. Something in the way he looked at people, like he was calculating their worth. Ellen was head over heels. She moved in with him after only 3 months. They started talking about buying a house together, starting a business together, building a future. But Marcus had expensive taste, designer clothes, luxury cars, 5-star restaurants. And Ellen, trying to keep up with him, started spending money she didn't have. She came to me more frequently asking for money, a few hundred here, 1,000 there. She always had a reason: car repairs, medical bills, an investment opportunity that couldn't wait. I gave it to her because she was my daughter, and I wanted her to be happy. But Marcus's influence on her grew stronger. She started dressing differently, talking differently. She became distant, cold. When I expressed concern about her spending or her relationship with Marcus, she'd get defensive and angry. "You don't understand, Mom. Marcus is different. He's successful. He knows how to make money. Unlike Dad, who wasted his life working for someone else. That comment stung. Thomas had been a good man, a hard worker, a devoted father. He'd provided well for us. To hear Ellen dismiss him like that hurt deeply. About 6 months ago, Ellen and Marcus started pressuring me about my finances. They wanted to help me invest Thomas's life insurance money. They had connections. They said they knew people who could grow that money significantly. Mom, you're just letting it sit there doing nothing. In this economy, you're actually losing money. Let Marcus help you. He's made his clients rich. I declined, politely at first, then more firmly. I didn't trust Marcus, and I didn't want to risk Thomas's hard-earned money on investments I didn't understand. Ellen didn't take it well. You're being stubborn and stupid. Mom, you're throwing away opportunities because you're too scared to take a risk. That's why you and Dad never had anything. We had everything that mattered, I said quietly. We had each other. We had a good life, a mediocre life, she shot back. I don't want mediocre. I want more. After that conversation, our relationship became strained. Ellen visited less. When she did come over, she seemed distracted, always checking her phone, always in a hurry to leave. I missed my daughter, the sweet girl who used to curl up on the couch with me watching movies, who called me just to chat, who valued my opinion. This new Ellen, this woman who wanted more, felt like a stranger. About 4 months ago, I started feeling unwell. It began with fatigue, bone-deep exhaustion that wouldn't go away no matter how much I slept. Then came the nausea. I couldn't keep food down. Everything I ate made me sick. I lost weight rapidly. 20 pounds in 2 months. My hands developed a tremor. I had headaches that lasted for days. My hair started falling out in clumps. Ellen noticed. Mom, you look terrible. You need to see a doctor. She insisted on taking me to appointment. She was suddenly very attentive, very concerned. It felt good to have her care again, even if I felt awful physically. We went to my regular doctor first, Dr. Patterson, who I'd been seeing for years. He ran some tests and said it might be stress, maybe depression related to Thomas's death, finally manifesting physically. He prescribed antidepressants and sleeping pills. The medication didn't help. If anything, I felt worse. The tremors got strong. I started having trouble remembering things, simple things like what I'd eaten for breakfast, or whether I'd locked the door. Ellen became more involved in my care. She organized my pills, made sure I took them on schedule. She started cooking for me, bringing over meals several times a week. You need to eat, Mom. You're wasting away. I appreciated her attention. It felt like I had my daughter back. She was caring for me the way I'd cared for her when she was sick as a child. It was a role reversal, but it felt right. She was being a good daughter. But I kept getting worse. The fatigue became debilitating. Some days I couldn't get out of bed. The nausea was constant. I started vomiting blood. My vision became blurry. Dr. Patterson seemed puzzled. He ran more tests. Everything came back inconclusive. He referred me to specialists, gastroenterologists, neurologists, endocrinologists. They all ran their own tests. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. Ellen was with me at every appointment. She took notes, asked questions, advocated for me. Marcus came sometimes too, always impeccably dressed, always charming with the doctors. They made a good team, my daughter and her boyfriend, caring for the sick old woman. 3 months ago, Ellen suggested I update my will. Mom, you're so sick. We need to make sure everything is in order, just in case. Just in case what? I asked, a chill running down my spine. just in case something happens. You're not getting better. The doctors can't figure out what's wrong. We need to be practical. She'd already contacted an estate lawyer. She'd made me an appointment. All I had to do was show up and sign some papers. The lawyer's office was cold and sterile. The lawyer himself, Mr. Brennan, seemed more interested in his computer than in me. He explained the documents in legal jargon I barely understood. Ellen and Marcus sat on either side of me, encouraging me to sign. It's just standard stuff, Mom. Making sure the house goes to me since I'm your only heir. Making Ellen executor so she can handle everything if you're too sick. Setting up a trust so Marcus can help manage the investments. Totally normal. Something felt wrong. My head was foggy from the medications, but some instinct told me not to sign. I need time to think about this. Ellen's face hardened. Mom, don't be difficult. We're trying to help you. I said I need time. Marcus leaned forward, his voice smooth. Catherine, Ellen just wants what's best for you. She's worried about you. We both are. These documents protect you. Then I can read them carefully at home and come back. They weren't happy, but they couldn't force me. We left without me signing anything. That night, Ellen brought over dinner. Chicken soup, she said. Homemade. You need to eat something, Mom. You're too weak. I tried to eat it, but something about the taste was off. Metallic, bitter. I pushed it away. I'm sorry, sweetie. I just can't. Ellen's eyes flashed with something I couldn't quite identify. Anger? Frustration? You have to eat. You're never going to get better if you don't eat. I'll try again later. After she left, I poured the soup down the sink. I don't know why. Just an instinct. 2 weeks ago, Ellen insisted I see a new doctor. Dr. Patterson isn't helping you. We need a second opinion. I found a doctor who specializes in mysterious illnesses. Dr. Harrison. He's supposed to be brilliant. Harrison's office was in a different part of town, a smaller clinic in a modest building. The waiting room was simple, clean, with worn but comfortable chairs and outdated magazines. Ellen came with me, as always. She checked her phone constantly while we waited, texting someone. Marcus, probably. When Dr. Harrison called me in, Ellen started to follow. I'm sorry, Dr. Harrison said politely, but firmly. I'd prefer to see patients alone first. It helps me get a clearer picture without external influence. You can join us for the consultation afterward. Ellen looked annoyed but sat back down. Dr. Harrison was in his late 50s, with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor. He didn't rush. He asked me questions, really listened to my answers. About my symptoms, yes, but also about my life, my husband's death, my relationship with my daughter, my daily routine. Tell me about your medications, he said. I listed them. The antidepressants, the sleeping pills, the anti-nausea medication, the supplements Ellen had started giving me. Supplements? What kind? I'm not sure exactly. Ellen organizes all my pills. She says they're vitamins and herbs to boost my immune system. Something flickered in his eyes. How long have you been taking these supplements? About 3 months, I think. Maybe 4. And when did your symptoms start getting significantly worse? I thought about it. Around the same time, actually. He was quiet for a moment, studying me. Then he asked something unexpected. Mrs. Cooper, do you feel safe at home? The question caught me off guard. Safe? What do you mean? Do you feel physically and emotionally safe in your home environment? I think so. Why? I'm going to run some tests. Blood work, urine sample, hair sample. I want to check for a few things. What things? Let's wait for the results. I should have them by tomorrow afternoon. Can you come back tomorrow? Alone this time? Ellen will want to come. I need you to come alone, Mrs. Cooper. It's important. Can you do that? There was an urgency in his voice that scared me. Yes, I can do that. He examined me thoroughly, took multiple vials of blood, clipped a sample of my hair, asked me to provide a urine sample. When we were done, he walked me out to the waiting room, where Ellen sat scrolling through her phone. Everything looks fine, he said loudly, clearly for Ellen's benefit. Just routine tests. We'll call you with the results. As he shook my hand goodbye, I felt him press something into my palm. I closed my fingers around it quickly, instinctively hiding it. Ellen drove me home, complaining about the wait, about the shabby clinic, about how Dr. Harrison seemed unprofessional. When I got home, I went straight to my bedroom and opened my hand. It was a small folded piece of paper, torn from a prescription pad. The message was written in quick, shaky handwriting. Run from your family now. You're being poisoned. Don't eat anything at home. Come back tomorrow alone. Tell no one. Your life depends on it. Dr. H. I read it 3 times, 4 times. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Poisoned? My own daughter? That was insane. That couldn't be real. But as I sat there, holding that note, things started clicking into place. The sudden worsening of symptoms when Ellen started bringing me meals, the metallic taste in the food she prepared, the way she pushed those supplements so insistently, her sudden interest in my will, my finances. No, I couldn't believe it. Ellen was my daughter. I'd given birth to her, raised her, loved her. She wouldn't do this to me. But Marcus had expensive tastes. Marcus wanted money, and Ellen wanted to please Marcus. I felt sick, and not just from whatever was in my system. My own child, my baby girl. Could she really be capable of this? I hid the note in an old book on my shelf, then sat in my living room, in the dark, trying to figure out what to do. Around 7 p.m., Ellen called. Hey Mom, I'm bringing dinner. Lasagna. Your favorite. Oh, that's sweet of you. But I'm not feeling well. I think I'll just have some toast and go to bed early. Mom, you need real food. I'm already on my way. She showed up 20 minutes later with a container of lasagna and a bright, concerned smile. You look so pale, Mom. Come on, eat something. I worked hard on this. The lasagna smelled good. It looked normal, but I kept thinking about that note. Poisoned. Don't eat anything at home. I'm really not hungry, Ellen. My stomach is bothering me. Her smile tightened. Mom, you have to eat. You're wasting away. Just a few bites. Please. I can't. I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. You're being stubborn. Again, her voice rose. I'm trying to take care of you and you won't even try. I appreciate it, I really do. I'm just too nauseous right now. She stood there for a long moment, the container of lasagna in her hands, her face a mask of barely controlled frustration. Then she set it on the counter. Fine, it'll be in the fridge. Heat it up later when you're feeling better. After she left, I stared at that container for a long time. Then I took it, walked to the bathroom, and poured every bit of it into the toilet. I flushed it away and rinsed the container thoroughly. I couldn't bring myself to believe it yet. Not fully, but I wasn't taking chances. That night, I didn't take any of my pills. For the first time in months, I skipped every single medication, every supplement. I just drank water and ate some crackers I'd bought weeks ago from the grocery store. I barely slept. Every sound made me jump. Every creak of the house settling made me think someone was breaking in, but nothing happened. The next morning, I felt different. Not better exactly. I was still weak, still nauseous, but there was a clarity in my head that hadn't been there in months. The fog was lifting slightly. I told Ellen I had a follow-up appointment with Dr. Harrison. She offered to drive me. I insisted I could manage on my own. You've done so much already. I don't want to keep taking up your time. She wasn't happy about it, but she didn't push. Maybe she thought I was too weak to be a flight risk. Maybe she thought whatever she'd been giving me would keep working. I drove myself to Dr. Harrison's clinic. My hands shook on the steering wheel. I'd only driven twice in the past few months, and I felt rusty, uncertain, but I made it. Dr. Harrison was waiting for me. His face was grave. He ushered me into his office quickly and closed the door. "Mrs. Cooper, please sit down. We need to talk about your test results." My mouth was dry. "What did you find?" He pulled out a folder full of papers, charts, numbers I didn't understand. "Your blood work shows elevated levels of arsenic. Significantly elevated. You've been ingesting arsenic regularly for an extended period, probably several months. Arsenic, poison." The word hung in the air between us. How is that possible? Someone has been adding it to your food or your medications. Arsenic poisoning causes exactly the symptoms you've been experiencing: fatigue, nausea, vomiting, weight loss, hair loss, tremors, cognitive impairment. If it continues, it will cause organ failure and death. But I already knew the answer. I just didn't want to say it out loud. "Mrs. Cooper, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Does anyone in your family have a financial motive to want you?" I started crying then, not loud sobs, just silent tears running down my face. "My daughter, Ellen. She's been asking for money. She and her boyfriend want me to change my will. They want me to let them invest my late husband's life insurance money." Dr. Harrison nodded, like he'd expected this. "Who prepares your food?" "Ellen brings me meals several times a week." "Who manages your medications?" "Ellen. She organizes all my pills. The supplements she's been giving you, did she get them from a pharmacy, or did they come from somewhere else?" "I don't know. She just said they were vitamins, to help me get better." "Mrs. Cooper, I believe those supplements contain arsenic. It's relatively easy to obtain. Rat poison, certain pesticides, even some old medications contain it. Someone with access to your food and medications could administer it gradually over time. It's actually a classic method of poisoning because the symptoms mimic natural illness." I felt like I was going to be sick. "My own daughter is trying to kill me. I can't prove it legally without more evidence. But medically, I'm certain you're being poisoned, and the most likely source is someone close to you, with access and motive. What do I do?" "First, we need to get you somewhere safe, away from your home. Do you have any friends or family you trust? Someone who doesn't have a financial interest in your death?" I thought about it. My sister Emily lived 2 states away. We weren't particularly close, but she was family. She would help me if I asked. "My sister Emily. She's in Arizona. Can you call her? Explain the situation? Go stay with her?" "I think so. But what about Ellen? What about the police?" "I'm calling the police right now. What you're describing is attempted murder. But investigations take time. Evidence needs to be gathered. In the meantime, you need to be somewhere safe." He picked up his phone and dialed 911. Within minutes, he was explaining the situation to a dispatcher. Medical evidence of arsenic poisoning. Suspected family member. Patient needs protection. 2 police officers arrived within the hour. They took my statement. Dr. Harrison provided his medical findings. They took photographs of me, documenting my physical condition. They collected the bottles of medications and supplements I'd brought with me from home. "We'll need to test these," one officer said, "and we'll need to investigate your daughter and her boyfriend." "But Dr. Harrison is right. You can't go home. It's not safe." I called Emily, explained as much as I could through tears and shock. She didn't hesitate. "Come here. Right now. Today, I'll book you a flight." The police drove me home with an escort to pack a bag. Ellen wasn't there. Thank God. I threw clothes into a suitcase, grabbed my important documents, my photos of Thomas, my jewelry. The police watched, made sure I was safe. Before I left, I looked around my house, the house Thomas and I had bought 35 years ago, the house where we'd raised Ellen, the house that held so many memories, and I wondered if I'd ever feel safe there again. Emily picked me up from the Phoenix airport that evening. She hugged me tight, and I broke down completely in her arms. "She tried to kill me, My own daughter tried to kill me." "I know, sweetheart. I know. But you're safe now. You're safe." I stayed with Emily for 3 months. During that time, the investigation unfolded. The police tested my medication. The supplements Ellen had been giving me contained arsenic trioxide, a highly toxic compound. The dosage was carefully calculated, enough to slowly poison me, but not enough to cause immediate, obvious symptoms that would trigger an investigation. They searched Ellen's house, found more arsenic, found internet search histories on her computer about untraceable poisons, about how long arsenic poisoning takes to kill, about inheritance laws in Oregon. They found text messages between Ellen and Marcus, hundreds of them, planning my death, discussing how to make it look natural, arguing about whether they were moving too slowly, counting down the days until they would have access to my money. One text from Marcus to Ellen, sent just a week before I found Dr. Harrison's note: "She's taking forever to die. Maybe you need to increase the dosage. We can't wait much longer. I have debts." Ellen's response: "I can't rush it too much, or it'll be obvious. Just be patient. Another month, maybe 2. Then she'll be gone, and we'll have everything." Reading those texts destroyed me. Not just the words themselves, but the casual, cold way they discussed my death, like I was an inconvenient problem to be solved, not a human being, not her mother. Ellen and Marcus were arrested 2 weeks after I arrived in Arizona. They were charged with attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and elder abuse. Marcus was also charged with financial exploitation. The day of their arrest, Detective Morrison called me. She'd been assigned to my case and had become someone I trusted during the investigation. "Catherine, I wanted you to hear this from me first. We arrested them this morning. Ellen at her apartment, Marcus at his office. Both are being held without bail." "How did they react?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Ellen broke down crying, kept saying it was all Marcus's fault, that he manipulated her, that she never wanted to hurt you. Marcus lawyered up immediately and hasn't said a word. I'd expected Ellen to try to shift blame. What I hadn't expected was how much it would still hurt to hear it. "Detective, there's something I need to know. When you searched their place, did you find anything that showed she ever cared? Any photos of us? Any letters? Anything?" There was a pause. "Catherine, we found a notebook." Ellen's handwriting. It was full of calculations. How much your house was worth, how much was in your accounts, how much she'd get after paying off her debts. There were timelines too, dates marked. Started supplements, increased dosage, should be soon. I'm sorry, but there was nothing personal, nothing about you as her mother, just numbers. That's when I truly understood. I hadn't been her mother to her. I'd been a bank account, an obstacle, a problem to solve. The investigation revealed even more disturbing details. Detective Morrison met with me again a week before the trial to prepare me for what would be presented as evidence. Catherine, I need to show you something. It's going to be difficult, but you need to be prepared for what the prosecution will present. She opened her laptop and pulled up a file. It was Ellen's internet search history from the past year. How long does arsenic poisoning take to kill? Symptoms of natural death in elderly. Can doctors detect arsenic in autopsy? How to avoid suspicion when someone dies? Inheritance laws, Oregon. Can police access deleted texts? Best alibi for suspicious death. The searches went on and on, hundreds of them, some dating back almost a year, long before I'd even started feeling sick. She'd been planning this for at least 10 months. Detective Morrison said, the searches started about a month after you refused to let Marcus invest your money. 10 months. I repeated numbly. She was planning to kill me for 10 months, and I had no idea. There's more. We recovered deleted text messages between Ellen and Marcus from that time period. Do you want to see them? I wasn't sure I did, but I needed to know. I needed to understand what had happened to my daughter. Detective Morrison pulled up the messages. They were arranged chronologically, starting from 11 months ago. Marcus, she's sitting on $500,000 and won't even help us. Selfish old woman. Ellen, I know, but she's stubborn, always has been. Marcus, there are ways to handle stubborn. Ellen, what do you mean? Marcus, think about it. She's old, she's alone. If something happened to her, who would question it? Ellen, are you suggesting, Marcus? I'm suggesting we speed up the inevitable. She's going to die eventually anyway. Why should we wait 20? The messages continued, getting progressively darker. Marcus pushing, Ellen hesitating at first, then gradually coming around to the idea. Ellen, I can't believe we're talking about this. Marcus, we're talking about our future, about the life we deserve. She's had her life. She had 60. How many more does she need? Ellen, but she's my mother, Marcus, and she's keeping you in poverty. Which matters more? A week later, Ellen, I've been researching. Arsenic is hard to trace if done slowly. Marcus, see, you're smart. That's my girl. Ellen, I'm scared. Marcus, don't be. We'll be careful. We'll be together, and we'll finally have the life we want. Reading those messages felt like dying. Each one was a stab to my heart. My daughter, my baby girl, discussing my murder, like it was a business transaction. There's one more thing, Detective Morrison said quietly. We found a voice recording on Ellen's phone. She must have recorded it accidentally. It's from about 3 months ago, right after you refused to sign those estate documents. She played it for me. Ellen's voice, angry and bitter. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this, Marcus. She's supposed to be dead by now. The arsenic should have worked faster. Marcus's voice, cold and calculated, then increased the dosage, put it in everything. Her food, her drinks, those vitamin pills. She trusts you. She'll never suspect her own daughter. Ellen, what if she does? What if she goes to a doctor who figures it out? Marcus, she won't. Her regular doctor is an idiot who thinks it's depression, and even if she does, who's going to believe a sick old woman over her devoted daughter? We've been so careful. We look like the perfect caregivers. Ellen laughing. We really do, don't we? Everyone thinks I'm such a good daughter. Marcus, you are, baby. You're taking care of the problem. That's what good daughters do. The recording stopped. I sat in silence, tears streaming down my face. I'm sorry you had to hear that, Detective Morrison said. But the prosecution wants to use these in court. They show premeditation, planning, and complete lack of remorse. Use them. I said, my voice stronger than I felt. Use everything. I want the world to see exactly what she is. The weeks leading up to the trial were the hardest of my life. Emily was my rock, but even she couldn't take away the pain. How do you process the fact that your child wanted you dead? That they actively worked toward it for months? That they felt no guilt, only impatience? I started having nightmares. In them, I was back in my house, eating Ellen's poisoned food, trusting her while she watched me die. I'd wake up gasping, convinced I could taste that metallic bitterness on my tongue. Emily would hear me and come into my room. She'd hold my hand and remind me I was safe, that Ellen couldn't hurt me anymore, but safety from physical harm wasn't the same as safety from emotional devastation. The trial began on a cold Monday in February. The courthouse was an imposing building, all marble and authority. I felt small walking up those steps, knowing I was about to face my daughter in the most public, brutal way possible. Ellen was brought in wearing a gray prison jumpsuit. She looked different, thinner, paler, her hair pulled back severely. When her eyes met mine, there was no warmth, no remorse, no recognition of what she'd done, only resentment. The prosecution was thorough and devastating. They presented the arsenic-laced supplements, Harrison's expert testimony about my poisoning, the search histories, the text messages, the voice recording. With each piece of evidence, I watched Ellen's face. I searched for some flicker of shame, some sign that she understood the gravity of what she'd done, but there was nothing. She sat stone-faced, occasionally whispering to her lawyer, but never showing emotion. Marcus was tried separately but as a co-conspirator. His trial ran concurrently with Ellen's, and the evidence against him was equally damning. When it was my turn to testify, I had to walk past Ellen to get to the witness stand. She stared straight ahead, refusing to look at me. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Miss Chen, asked me to describe my relationship with Ellen before the poisoning. I thought we were close, I said, my voice breaking. I thought she loved me. I would have done anything for her. I did do everything for her, raised her alone after her father died, paid off her debts, helped her when she struggled, and when she seemed to be caring for me during my illness, I was grateful. I thought I had my daughter back. But she wasn't caring for you, was she? Miss Chen asked gently. No, she was killing me. Ellen's lawyer, a slick man named Pemberton, tried to paint a different picture during his cross-examination. Mrs. Cooper, isn't it true that you refused to help your daughter financially, that she was drowning in debt, and you had substantial resources, but wouldn't share? I helped her many times over the year, but I didn't feel comfortable letting her boyfriend invest my late husband's insurance money. That doesn't justify murder. But you were being selfish with your money, weren't you? Hoarding it while your own daughter struggled. I was being careful with my husband's legacy. There's a difference between being selfish and being responsible. You also refused to update your will to make things easier for Ellen after your death. Why was that? Because I wasn't ready to think about my death, and because something felt wrong about the way Ellen and Marcus were pressuring me. So you admit you were being difficult. I admit I was being cautious, and thank God I was. Because they were trying to kill me. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Ellen's defense tried every angle. They claimed Marcus had manipulated her, that she was depressed, that she didn't understand the consequences of her actions, that I was exaggerating my symptoms for attention. But the evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for only 6 hours before returning with guilty verdicts on all counts. Ellen was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Marcus got 30. The judge was harsh in his ruling. This was not a crime of passion or desperation. This was cold, calculated, premeditated murder attempted over many months. You were willing to watch your own mother suffer, to slowly kill her through poison, for months. There is no punishment severe enough for what you've done, but I hope these sentences ensure you never have the opportunity to harm anyone else. Ellen cried when the sentence was read, not tears of remorse, but tears of rage and disbelief. She actually turned and looked at me, her face twisted with anger. "This is your fault," she screamed. "If you'd just given me the money, none of this would have happened. You're selfish. You always were." The bailiffs had to restrain her as she was led from the courtroom. I sat there, numb, as people congratulated me, told me justice had been served, told me I was brave. But I didn't feel brave. I felt destroyed. After the trial, I tried to understand how this had happened. How had my sweet little girl turned into someone capable of matricide? Emily and I talked about it for hours, analyzing Ellen's childhood, her relationship with her father, her personality shifts over the years. She was always a little self-centered, Emily admitted one night over tea. Even as a kid, remember how she'd have tantrums if things didn't go her way, how she always needed to be the center of attention. Lots of kids are like that. It doesn't mean they'll grow up to be murderers. No, but combined with other factors, Thomas spoiled her, Kat. You know he did. He gave her everything she wanted. She never learned to handle disappointment. Are you saying this is our fault? That we raised a killer? No, I'm saying she had tendencies that, under the wrong influence, became dangerous. Marcus brought out the worst in her, or maybe he just gave permission for what was already there. I thought about that a lot. Was Ellen born this way, or did we fail her somehow? Did Thomas's death trigger something in her that made her capable of this? I'll never know the answer, and maybe it doesn't matter. Whatever combination of nature and nurture created the woman who tried to poison me, the result is the same. My daughter is in prison for trying to kill me. The psychological damage has been profound. I have trust issues now. When people are nice to me, I wonder what they want. When someone offers to help, I question their motives. Food prepared by others makes me anxious. My therapist, Dr. Barnes, says these are normal responses to trauma. That trust will come back slowly, with time and healing, but 2 years later, I'm still waiting. I've also struggled with guilt, survivor's guilt, Dr. Barnes calls it. Guilt that I survived when maybe I shouldn't have. Guilt that I sent my daughter to prison. Guilt that I didn't see the signs earlier and stop it before it got so far. You have nothing to feel guilty about, Dr. Barnes reminds me constantly. You were the victim. You did nothing wrong. But mother guilt runs deep. Mothers blame themselves for everything. If our children fail, it's because we failed them. If they turn out bad, it's because we raised them badly. These thoughts are irrational, but they persist. That was 2 years ago. I'm 64 now. I still live with Emily in Arizona. I haven't gone back to Oregon. Emily and I sold my house there. I couldn't bear to live in it again, knowing what had happened within those walls. The house sold quickly. A young family bought it, excited about the neighborhood and the good schools nearby. I hope they're happy there. I hope that house can be a home for someone again, filled with love instead of betrayal. The money Thomas left me, the money Ellen tried to kill me for, is still mostly intact. I've used some of it to help Emily, who took me in without hesitation. She'd been living modestly on a teacher's pension, and suddenly had an extra person to support. I pay my share now, and I've helped her make some home improvements she'd been putting off for years. The rest of the money sits in investments, earning interest, going nowhere. Sometimes I think about giving it all away, to charity, to strangers, to anyone but family, because it was that money, that curse of wealth, that turned my daughter into a murderer. But then I remember that it wasn't really about the money. The money was just the excuse. Ellen had changed long before she tried to poison me. She'd become someone I didn't recognize, Someone greedy and cold and willing to kill for convenience. Marcus is still in prison. He'll be eligible for parole in 15 years. I hope they never let him out. He was the catalyst, the voice in Ellen's ear telling her that my life was worth less than their comfort. Without him, would Ellen have gone through with it? I don't know. Maybe she would have found another Marcus, another person to validate her worst impulses. Ellen writes to me sometimes. Letters from prison. They arrive every few months, always with the same prison return address. At first I read them, hoping for an apology, for some sign of remorse or understanding, but they're not apologies, they're accusations, blame, demands. She insists she was set up, that I misunderstood, that Marcus forced her to do it, that I'm a terrible mother for testifying against her, that if I really loved her, I would have lied on the stand to protect her. One letter particularly stands out. She wrote it about 6 months after her sentencing. Mom, I've had a lot of time to think in here. I know you're angry, but you need to understand my perspective. You were hoarding money while I was drowning. You could have helped me, could have made my life easier, but you chose not to. You forced me into a corner. What was I supposed to do? Watch Marcus leave me, because I couldn't keep up with his lifestyle. Watch my life fall apart, because you were too selfish to share Dad's money. You made me do this. This is your fault, not mine. If you would just admit that, we could move past this. I might even forgive you for putting me in prison. I read that letter 3 times, each time feeling my stomach turn. She genuinely believed it. She truly thought she was the victim, that I had forced her hand by not giving her money she had no right to. I didn't respond to that letter. I haven't responded to any of them since. Emily screens my mail now and throws Ellen's letters away unopened. I can't keep reading her twisted justifications. It's too painful, too infuriating, too sad. Dr. Harrison saved my life. He risked a lot by slipping me that note, by taking action without definitive proof. After the trial, I learned more about his decision that day. He'd called me one afternoon, asking if we could meet for coffee. He wanted to explain his thought process, why he'd done what he did. We met at a small cafe in Portland. I'd flown back for some legal paperwork and took the opportunity to see him. "Catherine," he said, stirring his coffee absently, "I need you to understand something. What I did that day, giving you that note, it violated every protocol. I could have lost my license. I could have been sued. I had no definitive proof at that point, just suspicious test results and a gut feeling. Then why did you do it? Because I've seen this before. Not exactly this, but variations of it. Elder abuse often looks like natural decline. Family members who should be caregivers become predators. And doctors miss it because we're trained to trust family, to see them as allies in patient care." He paused, his face troubled. "About 15 years ago, I had another patient, an elderly man whose symptoms were similar to yours. His son and daughter-in-law were his caretakers. I suspected something was wrong, but I didn't act fast enough. I followed protocol. I documented my concerns. I consulted with colleagues. And while I was being cautious and professional, they poisoned him with antifreeze. He died before I could save him. Oh my God," I swore after that, I would never hesitate again. If I saw the same patterns, the same warning signs, I would act immediately, even if it meant risking my career. Because a career can be rebuilt, a life can't. You saved me because of him. I saved you because of him. Yes, and because the moment I saw your test results, alarm bells went off. The arsenic levels, combined with your daughter's controlling behavior, her presence at every appointment, her insistence on managing your medications, it all fit the pattern. Thank you, I said, tears in my eyes. Thank you for trusting your instincts. Thank you for caring enough to risk everything. You would have done the same, he said simply. Anyone with a conscience would have, but not everyone does. That's what I've learned. Not everyone acts when they should. Not everyone risks themselves to help others. Dr. Harrison did, and I'm alive because of it. I visit him sometimes when I go back to Oregon for legal matters. We have coffee. He asks how I'm doing. I tell him I'm surviving, healing, moving forward. You did the right thing, he always says, trusting your instincts, fighting back, not giving up. You did the right thing too, I always reply. Thank you for saving me. The arsenic has mostly cleared from my system. My hair grew back, though it came in more gray than before. I gained the weight back, slowly but steadily. The tremors stopped after about 6 months. The fog in my mind lifted gradually, like dawn breaking after a long, dark night. Physically, I recovered. My body healed from the poison that had been systematically destroying it for months. Emotionally, that's harder. I lost my daughter, not to death, but to something worse. To her own greed, her own choices, her own willingness to murder me for money. I see a therapist now, Dr. Barnes. Twice a week at first, now once a week. We talk about trust, about betrayal, about grief. Because I am grieving the daughter I thought I had, grieving the relationship I thought we shared, grieving the fantasy of family I'd clung to even as reality showed me something different. People ask me sometimes if I'll ever forgive if I'll reconcile with her when she gets out of prison decades from now. My answer is always the same. I don't know. How do you forgive someone who tried to kill you? How do you reconcile with someone who watched you suffer and felt no guilt, only impatience that you weren't dying fast enough? I loved her. I still love her, in some broken, complicated way. She's my daughter. That doesn't just stop. But love isn't enough. Love without respect, without empathy, without basic human decency, is meaningless. Ellen showed me who she really was, and I choose to believe her. I'm trying to rebuild my life now. Emily and I have gotten closer. I've made new friends here in Arizona. I volunteer at a senior center, helping other elderly people recognize signs of elder abuse. I share my story, painful as it is, because maybe it can help someone else. If you're watching this and you're experiencing something similar, if someone in your family is pressuring you about finances, if you're suddenly getting sicker without explanation, please seek help. Get a second opinion. Tell someone you trust. Document everything. Elder abuse is more common than people realize, and often it comes from the people we trust most, the people we never suspect, because they're family. Dr. Harrison gave me a gift that day. He slipped that note into my purse, not just the gift of survival, but the gift of knowledge. The knowledge that my instincts were right, that my feelings of unease were valid, that I wasn't being paranoid or crazy or difficult. I was being poisoned, and I had every right to fight back. So I did, and I survived. My message to you is this: trust your instinct. If something feels wrong, investigate. If someone's behavior changes dramatically, ask why. If you're getting sicker and nobody can explain it, push for answers. And if a doctor ever slips you a note telling you to run, believe them. They're risking their career to save your life. Don't hope it's a misunderstanding. Don't give people the benefit of the doubt when your life is on the line. Run, fight, survive, because you matter. Your life matters, and no amount of money is worth dying for. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for caring about these issues. And please, take care of yourselves, protect yourselves, and always, always listen to that voice inside you that says something isn't right. That voice might save your life, just like Dr. Harrison's note saved mine. God bless you.